Hey, how you doing? Thank you for your comment. So, I don't have videos showing me in the classroom setting everything up, because I was a mental health specialist, a special education teacher. That was years ago. Now, I'm an online virtual coach, tutor and coach. Okay, but what I do have is I have tips that I have put out in videos for teachers for years on Facebook. I'm pretty new to TikTok. Giving tips on how to improve behavior, how to improve reading, how to get a child reading when they haven't been able to read for years. You know what I mean? How to get kids to focus, and different classroom management strategies. How to help kids improve so much they no longer need an IEP. I've done that for many students over the years, and that's always my goal, okay? To help them improve so much that they stop needing the accommodations. And then when mom goes in for the IEP meeting, they tell her how much the child has improved, and how they haven't been using the accommodations. And then they can discuss what would be like if they remove them or they no longer need an IEP. That's my mission. You know what I mean? Because I don't believe that kids should need an IEP year after year after year after year. It should be temporary to me. Okay? So I do have those videos on Facebook, and I have, since I've been in TikTok little clips. Okay? But I will give some tips now. And I'll just use my first experience as a teacher, because a lot of the things that I did when I became a special education teacher, I was a substitute teacher in a special education classroom for the first time, okay? And a lot of things that I did there, I still use today. I mean, years later, and it's highly effective, okay? I was put into that classroom because of my background with, I was a mental health specialist, and my background with improving behavior modification, social skills. And the students were, they didn't have a teacher for a few months. They were in special education mainly for their behavior. They were fighting, using profanity, running out of the classroom, kicking over desks, refusing to do their work, constantly disrupting class. But I realized that most of them, except one little girl, she was the only girl. Back then, that was very common for special education, for there to be mostly boys, and then like one girl in the classroom. So I called her my princess. Okay, she was the only one that could actually read. So I decided to improve their behavior and teach them how to read at the same time, because I realized back then that there is a link between acting out behaviors, disruptive behaviors, avoidance behaviors, kids getting distracted, all of that, and the inability to read and function independently. So I decided to help kids improve behaviorally and academically at the same time. So here I was, the first time teaching, independent teacher. I was a substitute teacher. I asked the principal, what do you want me to accomplish? I even ask parents that today before they come into my tutoring coaching program. What do you want your child to accomplish? I always ask that. When I asked him that, he said just keep them in the classroom, because they were running the halls, okay? They had torn up the class for like 3 days straight. And then I was like, all right, enough of this. I stayed in the class until nighttime, until dark. And I developed a behavior modification system. It's important for teachers to understand, if you have a lot of behavior issues in your class, if the kids are not focused, if the kids are not ready to work when you tell them to work, if you have to work real hard to get them on task, or they end up not doing anything at all and they can't read. You understand what I'm saying? If you're dealing with this all day, you have to understand on the first day of school that you're going to be teaching two things. You're going to be teaching academically, but you're also going to be teaching behavioral growth. And I don't mean redirecting kids all day. I don't mean you working so hard to deal with behaviors all day. What I mean is you're gonna grow their behavior in the classroom, and you're teaching whatever you teach. You're going to incorporate focus strategies in everything you teach. So you're constantly teaching behavior. If you have a lot of kids that can't read in your class, you are teaching reading all day. And how you do this is you put them in a driver's seat and you make them do the work. You make them do the reading all day. You're teaching them how to read. So every time you write something on the board, they're reading it and they're writing it down. They're working. They're anticipating the next move. You also set up the routines and you teach them the routines. You teach them the routines like you teach a lesson until they got it. And then you put leaders in place that will lead the rest of the class. Much like you have a line leader, you have to have a leader that will let everyone know when it's time to get ready to line up. Let everyone know when it's time for everyone to hand their work in. You understand what I'm saying? Set the classroom up so that it runs themselves by putting kids in leadership positions. When you put kids in leadership positions, then they don't really have time to get distracted, play around, disrupt the class. And now you're developing a culture where everybody wants those jobs. So everybody is being on their best behavior so they can get the jobs next time. But by no means should we have low expectations for our kids throughout the year. We should expect them to be working hard. We want them to always be reading, always be writing, always be doing the work, always anticipating your next move, to know the routines, to know the rules of the classroom, to work hard, time their tasks. This might be controversial. I know y'all gonna get on me, but I time my students' tasks. I do. If I give them independent work to do, I set the timer, and they must get it done by the time the timer goes off. We have to understand, we have to teach them how to be goal-focused. Too many kids have too much time, and we believe that we have to give them all that time because, you know, that's part of their IEP. They need more time to be able to do their work. But what do kids do with more time? They take more time. There's no kid that has ever come into my tutoring coaching program that has not improved their time or the work they've completed within the time with the structure. Okay, so always have them goal focused. Always make sure that they are being ready. Make sure they have the responsibility to get their work done and get it done in a certain time. Give them responsibility. Have other students tell everybody, okay, time's up. You understand what I'm saying? So these are just a few of the things that I teach and that I use in my program. Also, I just want to say quickly, I've always given my students points because I learned that as a mental health specialist, the kids got points for their performance, right? I did the same thing in my classroom when I was teaching in the classroom, and I do the same thing now with my tutoring coaching program. They earn points every single class. Everybody wants to earn 5 points by the end of the class. I let them know how many points they earned and what they need to do to earn more points next time. You understand what I'm saying? If they didn't quite earn 5. And then they have levels. You have to have a certain amount of points in order to be on that level. And I don't give students, I've never done this, like, if you do good in class, if you're on this level, then you get candy or some kind of toy or something. I've never done that. I've only done rewards if they were good. With the substitute teacher, we have a popcorn party, email their parents, but I don't do that. They are self-motivated. They want it for themselves so they could feel good about themselves. And one more thing I would say, let's be tough on kids. They need it and they actually want it. And as much as they may give attitude and fight back and all this other stuff, they really do need us to be tough on them, because that's the only way we're going to get them from here to here and then to success. So thank you so much for your comment. I'm running out of time. You got me passionate here. And thank you so much for your comment, and hope to see you again soon.